Hi, this is Pat Duckworth, the author of Hot Women Rock, How to Discover Your Midlife Entrepreneurial Mojo. Because my guest today is the host of the TV show Daily Miracles, Healing Without Angels. He's the #1 best-selling author. His speaking clients include the White House Alternative Medicine Commission and Johns Hopkins University. At the age of 10, he began having spiritual experience that altered his life in divine ways. He survived a devastating tragedy at the age of 17 by seeking spiritual pathways, which led him to discover his mission of spreading joy. He's sought after by conscious leaders and their teams to help them create miracles in their lives and their careers. His mission is to help to create world peace. I'm definitely up for being on board with that. He's targeting his first movie, a comedy about listening to your heart and trusting your authenticity to have a global impact. So today, join me in welcoming Swami Tirtha. Hi there, how are you?
Great to see you, Pat. Thanks for having me. This is a great thrill to be here for you.
It's such a pleasure, and I'm just loving those wings behind you.
Yes, this is my TV studio, actually, and this is my archangel behind me.
Fabulous. So, I know we're just not going to have long enough to talk, so let's dive straight in there. Where do you want to start with your story?
Well, to give you the thumbnail, you already mentioned that at an early age I had divine experiences. They were not, I didn't think they were divine because they were dreams that eventually I'd be separated from my parents. And eventually that did happen. I lost them in a car accident.
Oh.
And so I didn't think it was a gift, to say, oh, you're psychic, what a gift is. No, it didn't, because why would somebody tell you this if you can't do anything about it? Although later on in life, I realized it probably prepared me to help me survive that issue.
Yeah.
And Pat, how they say that in every adversity is the seed of something greater.
Yeah, sometimes that can be very difficult to see at the time.
Absolutely difficult. But after the grieving process, I was introduced to meditation on my college campus. And it was like at that point, I knew something, how I had to look to the mystical, because something mystical happened to me. Something or someone was talking to me and telling me, get ready, your parents will be separated from you. So here was the opportunity for me to really just jump in with both feet and explore that. And when I started to meditate, it changed my life. It gave me some peace in my heart. And the way I describe it is, if you're outside and it's raining and you step on the porch under the awning, it's still raining out, but you're not getting wet.
Mm.
In my life, I had all this grief and tragedy in my world, but when I meditated, I could step into my heart and not be as affected. I had some peace. I had some breathing room.
Yeah. So I almost want to stop right there and say, what sort of meditation were you introduced to? Have we got time for me to ask that?
Well, at the time, it was transcendental meditation.
Okay.
Is quite well known. And then I went on and became a transcendental meditation teacher and spent about 5 years just exploring this. I went to, I learned to levitate and meditate and yoga and all that stuff. And then his spirit just said, okay, it's time to come back. And I said, to what? But I came back to the TV world, which is where I was in college for TV, film, radio.
Oh, okay. So that's what you were studying at the time. So
Right.
As soon as you left college, was that when you were doing this sort of meditation and spiritual journey?
Yeah, I lost my parents after the first semester of college, actually.
Yeah.
And I was there. In the last year, though, I did switch majors and I went to the meditation college and then became a meditation teacher. So I did that for about 5 years. And
Yeah.
Spirit said, okay, time to come back again. And what? Where? So I was always going back and forth between spirit world and the 3D world, if you will.
Yeah. So where did you come back to? What did you start doing then?
Let's see, when I came back, I actually went back for my master's degree in communication research. I went back for communication, but I couldn't find a master's degree program in radio, TV, and film So I went into the research, which was not really an exciting thing for me. But, you know, again, the hardcore spirit mixed with the hardcore science research. And that's the age that we're in. I'm sort of skipping ahead a little bit here, but in retrospect, it serves me well.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, that's almost spooky in itself, isn't it? You know, that preparation for where we are today. But let's not skip over the intervening. So, what did you do after you'd finished your research?
After my research, I went back into radio, TV, and film because it was a more natural fit for me. I worked in public TV. I worked for network TV, working in animation and graphics mostly, doing some video work on the side for people. But again, I felt it was and that was another 5 years. I seem to have these 5-year cycles. And it was like, well, this is a pretty empty world for me. So I went to India. I had studied Ayurvedic medicine and Vedic astrology. And that was you could say one of my first entrepreneurial roles was giving people readings.
Yeah.
And then I said, you know, I just want to jump back in again. I'm really thirsty. So I went to India and I met my guru. And boy, it was just for the next, well, that was a good 10, 12-year cycle. He was alive for about 10 years, 13 years of my life. And so I'd go up to Uttarkashi. His ashram was right on the Ganges River. You could hear it all night long as you slept. And it was just lovely. Lovely.
Yeah. So, I mean, that must have been an amazing experience and, you know, one that a lot of people are drawn to now, but not for that period of time. That's pretty intense.
Well, I'd come back every year. You know, I'd go there for a month or so, half a month. And when I would come home, that's when I actually started my entrepreneurial. Now we're getting to you.
Yeah, we're nearly there.
I was one afternoon, I was laying in the hammock in the summer, just enjoying the weather. And suddenly a bottle of herbs came into my vision. And it was like, start an Ayurvedic herb company. And I bolted out just bolted out of the hammock, and I got a pencil and paper, and I'm figuring this out. And to show you that I had no business experience whatsoever, I did the math and I said, holy cow, I can actually break even in this business. Let's do it.
Sometimes that's all we want to do.
I can survive doing this amazing thing that just popped in my head, you know, and I did. I started the herbal product. That was one of the first companies, and then I opened up a center. And I had an accountant who was guiding me, giving me some business guidance. It took me 5 years to make a go of it before I turned into the black. But it was a wonderful, wonderful experience. I wrote my Ayurveda encyclopedia at that time. It took about 6 years. I had not a lot of people. Nobody knew what Ayurveda was. So I had a lot of free time on my hands.
So at this stage, were you seeing clients or were you selling product? How did it work?
A little bit of it. It all sort of. I invented vertical marketing for myself. Nobody used those terms then. I would see a client and I said, I can get you the herbs because they're very hard to find at that time. And then I made my products. I'd see a client and I say, these are the herbs you need. Here you go. And then it just started to take off. I started certifying people. I started a school to certify people to practice Ayurveda. And I had a very lovely spiritual business. I was like a spiritualpreneur more than an entrepreneur. Invented a lot of things back. That was back in the 80s.
And your encyclopedia is a big book, isn't it?
It's a huge book. Yeah. It's 700 pages, practically full-size paper.
Wow.
It is right here.
Fantastic.
And that became an Amazon #1 bestseller internationally for years.
I guess there was nothing like it at the time.
Exactly right. Yeah, there's nothing like it even till today. So
yeah. Fantastic. So where did the business go next?
Well, whatever goes up has to go down. But it went down for two reasons, honestly. The first was 9/11 happened. And when everybody was so stressed out and needed to come, they stopped coming.
Yeah.
So when my students graduated, new students didn't come, new clients didn't come. Now, I was still more spiritual than entrepreneur at that time, and I was turning down a lot of opportunities to get more out in the world and speak. And if I had taken those opportunities, I'm sure I would have had another way to go through that time. But because I didn't, I chose to spend my time more serving my guru. Then I didn't have those new flows of whatever energy coming to me. And then I got, again, in my brain, I saw a house on a lake upstate New York. And I said, okay, let's do that. Why am I sitting indoors on a sunny summer day and nobody's coming in the shop? So I packed it up, and, like the Beverly Hillbillies, if you remember that old show, I packed it all up and went up to the hills of New York, where I am now. And I live in paradise. The goal, I always believe, live in the goal, so here, if you can, as much of the goal. So I live in paradise. I'm done, and
it's a beautiful area, isn't it? Are you up in the mountains?
Yes, with cows, a lot of dairy country around here, farm wheat country. It's just beautiful. The deer walk by, the hawks fly by. So, and then it took me a lot of years to decompress from what happened to be, a pretty natural life, but still out of the city life or out of the suburb life. And here is where I really learned energy medicine. I was invited to the Amazon rainforest by a group called the Pachamama Alliance out of San Francisco. The shamans there said to me, "You're a natural born shaman and a healer," which was like, woohoo. I knew that. I just wanted somebody to tell me that. And I came home. I had a divine experience when I was there in the Amazon. This spirit came down, and it looked a lot like this white light, a little more like a form of a human, and it blew in my heart, and something shifted. And I said, wow. And then I said, I can do that. So I came home and I blew in my friends' hearts, and they shifted. And that started what I termed instant energy healing, which is what I did for many years.
So what are you doing today? Obviously, you've got your TV show, and what else is happening for you?
Yeah, the other big thing is I wrote a comedy script that you mentioned, and I have a Hollywood producer and director on board with me, and now we're in the process of attracting the funding. We want to make this an indie film because we control that way the message.
Fantastic. Do you need anyone with a British accent in it?
I'll put you down. Probably we could use somebody.
We're nearly always the baddies is the only problem. In American movies, the one with the British accent is always the baddie.
Oh, I don't know. We in America think if you want to bring quality to anything you do, you have someone with a British accent come in. Suddenly it's like, whoa, that's a pretty top drawer event, whatever it is.
And do you still do one-to-one healing work?
I do a little bit of that. But to reach the masses, again, it's another vision I had of me standing in among throngs of people in an arena. And I said to God, all right, so if you want me to reach the masses, I get it, but how? And then I was introduced to my producer, Hollywood producer, and I said, oh, I happen to have a script, and she loved it. And more recently, I was introduced to I launched Global TV and Easy Way TV. And they invited me to have the TV show. And it's just perfect because, there's this one-to-many idea that we have in the group we're both a part of, the Evolutionary Business Council. Yeah. And if you make a movie or a TV show, it's become zero to many. Yeah. It's just on, and you don't have to even be there. And imagine, Pat, I'm teaching people how to connect with their angels or God or spirit. And if you learn how to make miracles in your life, and this show will go around the world to 162 countries, imagine 500 million people potential. So let's say a million people practicing creating miracles in their life every day. What that's going to do to the world, uplift the world. And the 100th monkey, the 100th monkey concept, if enough people, just 10% or whatever it is, start creating miracles in their life, the whole world will start creating miracles in their life.
Yeah.
What a beautiful, I'm so blessed to have this opportunity to be the message, to be the medium for this
Yeah,
opportunity.
fantastic. Right, so I'm visualizing your film being made. So because we've got to get that.
There we go. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, all
definitely.
right. We'll definitely get you in the film if you get.
So this is Pat Duckworth, and I'm talking to Swami Tirtha, and he has his TV show. He's written this amazing encyclopedia, and he's looking for a film producer, well, a film backer for
Right.
his amazing films. So let's put that out there. Who knows who could be watching?
That's right. That's right.
So just moving on, you are very clear about your mission around world peace. Now, that's a huge mission, and you know, the bigger the mission, the more you work hard to move towards it.
Yeah.
But if you were talking to some new entrepreneurs and they're not sure about what their passion, their mission, their purpose is, what advice would you give them?
Well, that's an important question, Pat. And my college philosophy professor had the best advice, which I promptly forgot, but then discovered naturally. Pick a job you love so much you would pay to do it. When I was a kid, I watched TV all the time. The TV was my mother, really, because my mother wasn't well. So that was my babysitter. And imagine getting paid to watch TV. What a great life. I have friends who read comics all the time. Well, they're now drawing comic strips. So whatever it is you love, and probably whatever it is that your family says, please stop doing that already. That's probably what your passion is.
Okay, well, I just had a light bulb moment there because I love talking.
There you go. Hey,
and guess what my parents used to say?
They used to say, stop talking already. And you said, pay me and I will.
And speaking on stage, talking to audiences, I love it. So there we are. That's part of my passion. And to use that to influence people and to help them to make their lives better.
And the other thing about the idea of world peace, making that kind of a difference, it could also sound daunting to people, but all we have to do is wake up in the morning and smile to us, and we've made a difference. When we go out in the world, smile to somebody else, and you've done a job. You've done your job for the day. So it works at every level. We can't aim for the big one and ignore our daily lives, or ignore or do something in our daily lives and forget the bigger view.
Yeah, and sometimes you have to take what you might think is a little risk with it. When I was flying back, obviously I saw you recently in San Diego, so we managed to get that hug in. And I was flying back, and an air hostess was walking towards me. And of course, they work so hard.
Yeah.
And she just had the most beautiful eyes. And she gave me my cup of tea. I said, you've got beautiful eyes. And she said, oh, thank you. And there's always that little risk of, should I say anything? Shouldn't I? But for all I know, that might have made her day. She might have thought, well, at least somebody noticed,
Absolutely.
You never know the effect of that positive word or that smile or, just a hug with somebody. You don't know how much difference it might make to their life.
You know what I do sometimes? If I see, there have been times I've gone like to the health food store and I just happen to not be very up that day. And then I see someone who's really down, and I'll go up to them and say, hey, you know what? That's a lovely shirt you have on or something. And I mean it. I would find something that I really like, and they would just brighten up. And you know what? Guess who else just brightened up?
It's, that whole thing of us being hardwired for kindness. That our brain is wired that when we're kind to people, it's not only good for them, it's actually good for us as well.
Absolutely. I drive down the street and I send blessings to all the other cars on the road. When I'm in line at the store, I'll send blessings to everybody, especially the cashier. If I'm sitting waiting for somebody on a park bench, everybody walks by, I'll send a blessing cloud in front of them and let them walk through it. Just I play games like that.
Oh, I love that. And what role would you say meditation can play in terms of really homing in on that purpose or that mission?
Yeah, meditation, well, there are probably two things. First is it just calms down the noisy brain. There's a misconception that when I meditate, there's nothing in my brain and nobody can stop their thoughts. So that's the myth. But it calms down the noisy thoughts, the doubting thoughts, the programmed thoughts that are limiting us, like I'm not worth it, I'm no good, who am I, blah, 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 blah. All that, those are limiting thoughts. Meditation begins to take them away. And once your mind doesn't have the noisy thoughts, then you have your vision thoughts. Wow, I'd really love to do this. Or your angels will say, dear, would you like to do this? Like a few summers ago, they said, dear, if you can go deeper into your mediumship now, if you like. And it's so gentle. In my world anyway, it's like, do this, do that, don't do this. Then when you get a gentle voice saying, would you like to? It's like, nah, it's okay. But I'm learning over time to say, ooh, really? Yay! So the meditation calms the noise and then allows, in the quiet, to hear the messages of opportunity and love and self-love.
Yeah. So my next question, the one that I love asking entrepreneurs, is what does success mean for you?
Wow. Well, it's a lot of everything. It's having a quiet soul, having a connection to your soul, having a connection to the angels, and taking action and letting them do the work. That's really the cool part. The heavy lifting is done by them. And taking care of my health, eating healthy foods, eating according to Ayurvedic suggestions, getting out in nature, connecting with nature, connecting with like-minded friends like you. It's all the above, and then from that you're so joyful, you're so healthy, you're so peaceful, you're so giving, you attract the influencers to you. And they say, wow, there was a fellow at our event, a very big, successful person. And he said to me, I want to get to know you. You have such a nice face, such a kind face. So we don't have to go out and pound on doors and cold call it. I mean, some people, unless they're called to do that, a lot of us aren't. And you just stay in your joy and become the living magnet. You are the living example of what you're selling.
Yeah.
And it will just come to you.
Lovely. And so people watching, I mean, we've scraped the surface in this time. So anybody who wants to find out more about you, where can they find you?
Sure, yeah. And actually, if you go to my website, I have a free gift for you. It's a Tibetan bowl sound bath meditation that I created. Ooh. And you just listen to that and just melt away. And so go to orangecowboy.com. Orange like the color, cowboy like the hat, .com.
You're just living your brand.
I just made the brand who I am, that's all.
Fabulous. Thank you so much for your time today. I'd love to talk longer. Perhaps we'll get another chance soon.
Sure. Thank you, Pat. This is a real joy. Anytime. I'd love to talk to you more.
Excellent. So thank you again. And thank you to everybody watching. We're sending out our blessings to you. And I'll see you next time for another interview with a wonderful entrepreneur. Take care now.